So let's start off with the Abuja Inquirer. The Abuja Inquirer leads with two sad events that played out over the weekend. Yes, we've touched on the situation in Niger State, but Kano athletes who are returning from the National Sports Festival, Ogun 2024, were involved in a fatal accident. And you see there on the front page, flood of grief for Kano athletes, muted sorrow for Mokwa disaster. President, National Assembly, governors, others mourn Kano 22, whimpers for Mokwa 153 flood victims. So that sort of captures some of the sad events from over the weekend in Nigeria. And we have joining us to walk through some of the front pages eventually Senior Advocate Sam Kagbo. But I mean, take a look at just how the Abuja Inquirer captures this story here. Flood of grief for Kano athletes, muted sorrow for Mokwa disaster.
It was just heartbreaking to see. I didn't even know. I was just watching the PSG Inter Milan highlights of the match. But guys, and I heard that the people who have, gone to Ogun State for the National Sports Festival, Ogun Games, or Gateway Games as it's called, that's on their way. We're not sure what happened. Was the driver overspeeding? Was it fatigue because he was on the road for about 2 days or so? They left on Thursday after the games, and this happened on Saturday. I heard they were just hours away from Kano, and this is just heartbreaking to read as well. We don't know. Sometimes it's just difficult on what to say than to just share your prayers and your thoughts with the families of those affected. But let's go to the Vanguard newspaper. The Vanguard newspaper leads with something totally different. It says, FG's gas-powered vehicle scheme runs into major hitch nationwide. 785.6 billion naira investment threatened. Let's take a look at the riders to give us a bit of insights. But if you want to read more, you can go to page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. Refuel stations, conversion centers, other facilities grossly inadequate. CNG buses, other equipment rot in parking lots. Current pain is temporary. Presidential CNG initiative. This temporary. I think we need to remind the government. Well, on this, it's great to have this idea that we need to diversify our energy mix. I think it's great to have it, but efficiency and effectiveness, or the right word that they use is level of penetration, is insufficient to compete with what the effect of PMS, subsidy removal on PMS has done. Because if we had enough CNG stations and all of this conversion kit, maybe on a 40-60 basis, before all of this started, we can have this conversation. But grossly inadequate is grossly inadequate. So they should do something as quickly as possible and stop touting this temporary pain. It's painful to hear. Sometimes when we talk to the people in the ruling party or their representative, they gloss over that temporary, like the cost. We need to look at the cost of that temporary pain, so that the government can understand what's really going on, so that they are not detached from data. Because it's easy to say it's a temporary pain, it's going to get better. People are losing jobs. People are struggling to eat and survive. Businesses, a lot of small businesses are struggling to survive. Big businesses, some are closing down. So we can go on and on and on and on. But we'll get to that conversation somehow. Yeah. But this slang of temporary pain, I think is becoming, let me use their own word, it's a cliche. Look for something else to say.
Certainly, and I think beyond just the usual temporary pain, bear with us, we don't take your patience for granted, is proper explainers, right? And be accountable to the people. Explain to them, and I think it's a no-brainer, really. In places you've maybe made mistakes or you probably didn't factor all of the entire picture, you can always say, well, we underestimated the situation, or at least we planned for it, but man proposes, God disposes.
Clearly, I think this government underestimated the social cost and impact of the policy. As we always say, if the fundamental legacy issues are not sorted, anti-corruption is not as aggressive as possible, things like the rule of law and productivity is not put in place, all of this effort to give it 10 years is not going to work. What is really working sometimes, some things are going well, but what is really working is the resilience of Nigerians. Even if you make the situation worse for Nigerians, Nigerians just have a way of surviving. I don't think it's a good thing. Nigerians need to stand up and ask questions. The social cost of the policy is very deep, is very painful. So I think it's almost disrespectful to always come and say, temporary pain. And they want to gloss over that statement as though it's nothing serious. It is very serious.
So these are the issues with the CNG. It's meant to be an alternative to petrol, right? Since petrol is quite expensive, more than it used to be, that is. So what is expected is that there will be at least lots of CNG conversion centers. It's meant to be affordable to a large extent. And then you need to have places where you can refuel your converted vehicles or tricycles. Oh, guess what? Even the NRC, that's the Railway Corporation, is looking to CNG to power the trains. So imagine a lot of demand for CNG. But what we have so far, not as much CNG fueling centers. If you're coming into Lagos, you see a station that there's a lot of queue. Same if you're coming into Abuja from the airport, you see some of those trucks lined up already, dozens of them overnight just trying to get CNG. And there are vehicles as well trying to get CNG. Then the cost of the conversion itself is a big deal. So there's a lot of issues. Now, this is not to give an excuse for the government, but for India, by the way, India is also looking at CNG, and it's been on for about 10 years plus now. And India has been able to grow its CNG centers from over 700 in 2014 to more than 7,000 now today. So how far have we gone in the sense of, okay, 1 year, 2 years? Have we gone that far? At least considerably? Certainly not, but we should do better. And that's what the Vanguard is pointing to this morning. A couple of other stories on the front page of The Guardian, Jeffrey. You can see 50 killed, 15 parishes shot by armed herders in Makurdi Diocese. That's coming from Catholic priests. A lot to wrap your head around, certainly, this morning. But that's the front page of the Vanguard newspaper today.
Okay, Kyle, I think we'll go to the Guardian newspaper.
Yeah.
The Guardian newspaper is leading with a huge political conversation. 2027 opposition coalition shops for candidate as APC mocks effort. Opposition coalition shops for candidate as APC mocks effort. I think this is how all of this starts. It's a very difficult thing in Nigeria, except what we saw in 2015, to unseat an incumbent. I think I'll stay where I started off from. When it comes to 2027, it's going to be more of the people against the ruling party, because as we speak now, the opposition, let's use PDP and Labour Party, haven't gotten their acts together. I think it's even worse with the Labour Party that has two sets of leadership, a caretaker and the Abure-led leadership. So all of this coalition is a collective of amongst these political parties. So you have some people in Labour Party being part of the coalition, perhaps some people in the PDP being part of the coalition. Not everybody is on board. So how this will play out. So I can understand why the APC who are mocking them, maybe mocking them according to the headline of the Guardian newspaper. But in politics, you don't underrate anybody. It's a very tricky, slippery game that anything can happen. And what happened in 2015, nobody would have seen it coming, because this is an incumbent. 5 governors walked out on their own governor. The president, who was a member of their party. For me, that was the icebreaker. That was what took Jonathan out, the former president, Jonathan. With Amechi and his 4 friends who are governors, that coalition led out. I don't think that APC would have been in power without that level of movement from those guys. So, and now again, we're seeing that collective coming together. Amechi is now in the mix. Rotimi Amechi, former governor of Rivers State. We have Nasser El-Rufai, who was part of the formation of the APC as well in 2015. Atiku Abubakar was part of the formation of the APC. So it looks like it's a cycle, Kairi. They have all now come around to say, we don't believe that the Tinubu administration is doing well. We're going to do all we can to kick him out of power. But they first need to get their acts together, get a clearer direction. It's 2 years down the line until the election. But Nigerians know what they want, how they want it. Whether they're able to force, to insist on what they want is a different kettle of fish altogether. But it's too early to dismiss a coalition, because anything can happen in politics. Anything can happen in politics. But let's see how it goes. But I believe that we need, I'm not even talking about the coalition. Yeah. We need a viable opposition. Let's even forget the coalition. We need a viable opposition. There should never be a time in Nigeria's history when there will be that overwhelming dominance of one political party over the others that we don't have an alternative. It's dangerous for democracy, especially our kind of democracy, the type we practice now. Even with what we have, we're still having this issue. So imagine if they have a clean slate to run. This is not 2017 when PDP had 31 or so governors out of the 36 states. Right now, we need as much as possible on at least two political parties to be strong enough to hold each other down so that there's a quick alternative in case one is not performing well. Kyle.
Oh, yes, certainly. So you can tell what the future is like sometimes from what you can see today. How well have they been able to get their acts together? Well, we'll see in the coming days. And of course, this is going to form a major part of our conversation on the program this morning. But take a look at that other story. It's a response from the presidency to Afenifere saying, economy not in crisis, says presidency, as Afenifere rates Tinubu low. It's a page 3 read. Definitely a lot of people rating President Tinubu's administration, and there have been responses as well. And Afenifere is one of the latest to review the president's 2 years in office. In a statement that was released by its leader, National Publicity Secretary Oladipo Olaito and Justice Faloye, saying that it has shown that every human development and social political index has regressed in the past 2 years. So there you go. That's from the Afenifere this morning. I should just mention that Saudi Arabia evicts 205,000 unauthorized pilgrims from Mecca. That's something, it's quite curious. If you want more details, check page 2 of The Guardian. We have joining us now Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Sam Kagbo, to just take a look at some of the stories that have made the front pages today. Senior Advocate, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, and thank you for having me this morning.
Oh, it's good to have you on the program, Senior Advocate. Let's just talk about the front page of The Guardian. Opposition coalition shopping for candidate as APC mocks effort. Page 6 of The Guardian. And Jeffrey had said, do not underestimate anyone. It's almost like football. You know, there are no minnows in that sense. So when you see the APC mocking the efforts and what you see what's playing out in the coalition, so to speak, some saying, well, the coalition I'm forming is against poverty, hunger. Another saying, well, we're going to make this work. So you have mixed signals from those who are meant to be the leaders of these coalitions. What do you make of it, Senior Advocate?
Well, let me start by saying that the political aides who are making who are mocking the opposition are doing their job. That's their job, to deleverage or demarket the opposition. But like you rightly said, political measurements are very difficult to calculate, and it's very difficult for you to predict. In politics, you can't talk in absolute terms. Anything can happen overnight. A day is too long in politics. So I would think that, yes, for now, the opposition is having a difficult one because many of their own leaders, those who are actually spearheading the coalition, each one of them will want to be a presidential candidate. And that's where the problem will be. Because you see them trying to court Peter Obi. Of course, Peter Obi already has a number. In the last election, he had about 6 million votes. In politics, that's a good number because democracy, or whatever you call it, is about numbers. And if you already have one candidate who has that number, he is a bright. But there is also the realization that Peter Obi cannot by himself, transcend and actually withstand the spread of the APC. So the mix here is going to be difficult. Each one of them would want to have a mix between one and Peter Obi. I think Peter Obi will be the constant, while the others will now be thinking of in what mix would they come to challenge the APC. I would also think that the APC, even though the political aides who are making the mockery are sounding so confident, I would think that with the experience of Tinubu and, of course, the chairman of APC, they will be working overnight, knowing that, yes, from their own experience, the coalition can actually make a difference.
I was just reading some excerpt where somebody was raising, if you look at the pages of that paper, somebody was actually talking about the coalition proponent must be altruistic and they must be strategic, really ready to make compromises as much as possible, not everybody trying to be the leader in that sense. But let's move on to the Blueprint newspaper, senior advocate. It leads with a different headline altogether. This should be, I think, Ogun Free Trade Zone attracted $24 billion investment, $30 billion commitment under Tinubu. Says we're reaping dividends of purposeful leadership. That's coming from the managing director of the Free Trade Authority, Bamanga Osman Jada, described the President Bola Tinubu as a blessing to Nigeria. Senior advocate.
Yeah, you know, the Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority, it comprises, I think, about 6 states. You have Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Imo, Lagos, and about 6 of them. And over time, the oil and gas has always been the most attractive investment destination for Nigeria. And it is good that there is a diversification here, because gas is becoming much more attractive now than even the other component of the oil and gas industry. Now that you are having that volume of investment, and there is also the promise that in the next 2 years, you would have about another 30 billion coming into that sector. That, to me, is encouraging. It portends diversification, and it also portends that the economy would be jigged up, and the multiplier effect of that is that there will be employment, and the government, of course, would have more earnings. I would also think that the more of the states who are willing to provide infrastructure for this sort of investment, they should know that it is not just for you to have a gas-free zone. There is also the other component of it, the linkages. For an example, it is actually ironical that you do not have a very good road between Akwa Ibom and Rivers State, or between Rivers State and Cross River, or between Akwa Ibom and Cross River. But these are very good component and very strategic component of that sector. Right. If you do not have a very good infrastructure linking this, and of course, linking them to Lagos, is going to be difficult. Perhaps that Lagos-Calabar road is going to be an answer to some of these concerns that I'm raising. But to sum up, it's a very encouraging thing, and I would think that those who have not yet done or provided land and infrastructure for that sector should take a cue from what is happening, because that's a very, very troubled sector.
Right. Well, senior advocates, when the chips are down, what a lot of people want to hear is, are we able to hit 2 million barrels per day, or at least 2.5 million barrels per day, seeing that the price is not very stable? But at least that's the target the government has set, 2.5 million by the end of the year. Are we able to hit that? And of course, all the other 10 states plus one now, you know, Bauchi State with Komani as well, we should be able to harness all of the potential and ensure that it really shows, as the young people say, show the workings. But we have to thank you so much, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Sam Karbo, for providing the much-needed insights into some of the top stories on the front page this morning. Thank you for your time, and wish you a great day ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, we'll take a quick break now, and when we return, we start off with that very sad situation in Niger State, particularly in Mokwa, where over 153 people have been killed by flooding. We're going to touch base with the State Emergency Management Authority to find out what exactly is going on. Stay with us.